Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I have for you another trash to treasure with some wood salvage. So starting out with this banister spindle that I had my husband cut down, I'm gonna do some little photo holders. Inspired by Julie's Designs and Signs, I didn't have the piece that she used to put the little wire things on top. What I did was cut up a piece of wire that I had in my garage for a long time. So here, starting out, I'm going to give it a coat of green moss in the color moss from Waverly chalk paint. This color is a very neutral green from Waverly, so I really love it. I can use it in my decor and it blends in just well. It gives just that right little pop of color for my home decor. So I'm going to go ahead and give them all 2 coats of paint and I'll be right back. So as I mentioned, this is the wire that I use. I'm pretty sure you can pick it up at Home Depot or Lowe's. It's a little bit hard to cut, but of course I'm not using the correct wire cutters, but with a little wiggle back and forth, I can get it to cut. So I start to twist it and turn it, and then with this one I was trying to create a heart, which I kind of accomplished, but it was kind of hard, so I think I only did one of those. The rest I just twisted up just enough to where it'll hold a photo. In this case I used some little herb pictures that I took out of a book, which I'll show you in just a second. I'm sure there is an easier way to do this and to form this wire, but this is how I knew at the time how to do it, and I was just working with what I had. This is about the point where I realized that the shorter the wire, the easier it is to cut and form, but we all got to learn the hard way, or learn somehow, right? So back to my little wood pieces here, I'm going to go ahead and drill a hole on top so I can stick the wire in, which I made the hole a little too big, but that's okay, we figure it out. So here, adding a little bit of hot glue, I'm going to go ahead and stick my little wire in. And once that glue sets up and dries, the hole being too big is not going to be an issue. It'll hold up the wire just fine. These actually turn out being my favorite project out of this whole video. I think they're adorable. And since I can't stop here, I decided I'm going to go ahead and add a stamp out of my IOD Antiquities stamp, I believe it is. Also, I did go ahead and wet distress them. I don't know what happened to that clip, but I did wet distress them. And I do go ahead and stamp all of my little wood pieces. I just feel that stamps give them a more vintage old look, which I love. Then here, using some little scrap pieces of fabric, I go ahead and tie it around the wire at the bottom, just to cover the hole a little bit and just give them a little extra detail. And here, that is the little pictures I'm going to use for the top of these. I got this book at Five and Below. Has a ton of pictures that you can use if you are a creator or a booth vendor. This is perfect. The book was, I believe, $5, and you get a ton of pictures. So I go ahead and tear it out of the book, and I don't cut it because I like the rough edge. I'm going to go ahead and use this distress oxide from Hobby Lobby just to give them an aged look. And since I do have a ton of these, I'm pretty sure in the near future you'll be seeing more DIYs with these. They're super cute. I think they would look cute like on some clipboards or a piece of scrap wood. I don't know, we'll see. For the longer pieces of wood, I use a full sheet. I go ahead and tear off a piece of this watercolor paper that I got from Dollar Tree. I'm going to go ahead and glue one of them on just to give it a little bit of stability, since it is going to be a little bit longer. I go ahead and glue it on there and age the sides as well. So my next DIY is going to be with this 4x4 blocks, and these little blocks that were picked up at the bins, which I'm pretty sure you get on Amazon. I'm going to go ahead and glue them to the bottom, and I do go ahead and shoot a nail on them just to make sure they don't come off. And these little pieces I also picked up at the clearance center bins. I don't have enough space to shoot a nail through these, but I do end up gluing them, and they held up pretty well. And you will hear me say that a lot, that I pick up a lot of stuff from the clearance center bins. Anytime I find any type of wood, little wood pieces from the thrift store or clearance center, I do end up picking them up because I know I'll use them at some point. I've actually seen a ton of creators create little blocks like this. I just had to do my take on it just because it's not going to get out of my head to try it. So here we are. So I did go ahead and paint them off camera. Well, actually I did paint them on camera, but I don't know what happened to the footage. But I go ahead and paint them up, distress them, and seal them really well since they are salvage wood. I'm gonna go ahead and use a piece of this fabric scrap roll. I don't know what it was used for, but I go ahead and cut little pieces for the front of these little risers. I am curious though what this roll of fabric or whatever it is, I am curious to know what it is originally used for. So if you know, please leave me a comment below. And again, using my IOD stamps, I'm gonna go ahead and stamp these. And then I'll go ahead and attach them with some little nails that I'll show you here in a second. And how adorable is this little sheep off of those IOD stamps. So cute. Then here I switch over to my Antiquities stamps. And I stamp a couple of the risers with some of those. And I use these little nails to attach them. I picked them up at Walmart. And here, moving on to the next project, I went ahead and gave these 2 pieces of scrap wood a coat of white paint. And I'm going to go ahead and wet distress these as well. I'm a huge fan of distressing everything. That's just my style and I love it. And I could simply take these out and use my orbital sander, but I feel that when you wet distress, you have more control over how much you're going to distress your piece and you don't create as much dust. And I'm going to go ahead and decoupage these using this napkin that I picked up at Dollar Tree, which I've never seen there before. So I don't know if it's going to be like something they carry regularly, but I picked it up at Dollar Tree. It is a 2-ply napkin, so I take off the extra layer of napkin just using the single layer. And I do save the extra layer because I do like to stamp them and decoupage with them. So I'm going to start to add some Mod Podge, and you kind of have to put enough. The wood is so dry, it just soaks it all in. And I'm going to go ahead and place my napkin right over that, pushing it into all the little crevices that this wood has. I don't want the cherry, so I just went with the middle part because it reminds me of like the ticking stripe fabric. Then using a sanding block, I'm going to go ahead and sand off all the extra napkin on the edges. Then going around all my edges, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of extra Mod Podge. Then using this Oxide Distress ink from Hobby Lobby, I'm going to go ahead and age the edges of it. Then using one of these little pots that I picked up at either Walmart or Dollar Tree, I go ahead and cut it in half, and I'm going to go ahead and glue it to my piece of wood. Adding the glue on the inside, and then once I get it on there, I'm going to go ahead and add the glue on the inside. This was a little bit tricky, but once you hold it there in place and put the glue on the inside, it holds up pretty well. Then I'm going to go ahead and add a little piece of floral foam just to give the little pot a little bit of stability. And I'm going to go ahead and stick my greenery into that and then add some moss on top. I do go ahead and add a piece of little scrap fabric from the back in case, so it can be hung as well. But I do think they're absolutely adorable for shelf sitters. Here I'm going to do the exact same process. add some Mod Podge, and then add the another piece of that napkin onto this piece of wood. Then I'm also going to age the edges on this one also with this Distress Oxide from Hobby Lobby. Then I'm going to go ahead and stamp this little piece of fabric with some crockery stamps. And I'm going to go ahead and attach this little piece of fabric also to the front of this piece of wood with those little nails that I used on the previous project. And I do use my IOD crackle stamp, and I stamped the top of this napkin as well. And I go ahead and take it outside, and I go ahead and use these little nails to attach the fabric. I add some little pieces of greenery and these little wooden vintage pins, and here we are. And here is how I styled them here in my home. If you like what you see, please subscribe and follow for more. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.